4 hours of his route simply disappeared. Kevin Foster had been driving refrigerated trailers for nearly 20 years. At 43 years old, he had developed a reputation among dispatchers as one of the company's most dependable drivers. He rarely missed a delivery appointment, never ignored safety procedures, and maintained an almost flawless driving record. Colleagues described him as methodical, calm under pressure, and meticulous with paperwork. On the evening of September 18th, Kevin arrived at a pharmaceutical distribution center to collect a temperature-controlled shipment of prescription medications bound for Dallas. The cargo was valuable, but not unusual. Every pallet was sealed, electronically tracked, and required to remain within a strict temperature range throughout transit. Before accepting the load, Kevin completed his standard inspection. He unlocked the refrigeration control panel and verified the trailer temperature. 36 degrees Fahrenheit, exactly as required. He compared the digital display with the shipping manifest before recording the reading in the company's electronic inspection form. Next, he completed his electronic logbook, confirming his available hours of service and reviewing the planned route along Interstate 10. Everything complied with federal regulations. Inside the warehouse office, a shipping supervisor handed him the final paperwork. "Temperature's been stable all afternoon," the supervisor said. "Seal number matches the manifest." Kevin checked the seal himself before signing the release documents. "Everything looks good," he replied. The trailer doors were locked, the electronic seal activated. The dispatcher received confirmation that the shipment had departed on schedule. At 8:17 p.m., Kevin merged onto Interstate 10. Night settled quickly across the highway. Long stretches of darkness separated the occasional truck stop and service plaza. The highway carried steady freight traffic, but once outside the larger cities, the road often felt isolated despite its importance as one of the country's busiest transportation corridors. To stay alert, Kevin played a true crime podcast through the truck's speakers. Listening to investigative stories had become part of his nightly routine. Between episodes, he occasionally checked the truck's navigation system, mentally calculating his estimated arrival time. If traffic remained light, he would reach Dallas shortly after sunrise. Everything proceeded exactly according to schedule. The refrigeration unit maintained its temperature. The truck performed normally. The electronic logging device recorded continuous driving time. Fuel consumption remained consistent. Nothing appeared unusual. Nearly 3 hours into the trip, Kevin glanced at the dashboard clock while mentally reviewing his ETA. He was comfortably ahead of schedule. Then his company phone rang. The dispatcher. Kevin answered immediately using the truck's hands-free system. "Kevin, where are you?" "I'm on Interstate 10. There was a brief silence. "You were supposed to check in 4 hours ago." Kevin frowned. "What are you talking about? We spoke earlier tonight." "No," the dispatcher replied. "We've been trying to reach you for almost 4 hours." Kevin instinctively looked at the dashboard clock. His stomach tightened. The time displayed was nearly 4 hours later than he expected. He quickly checked the navigation system. His estimated arrival time had shifted forward by exactly 4 hours. For several seconds, he simply stared through the windshield. He had no memory of losing time. There was no recollection of stopping, no memory of exiting the highway, no accident, no unusual event. As far as he could remember, he had been driving continuously while listening to the podcast. The dispatcher instructed him to pull into the nearest truck stop. Once parked, Kevin began reviewing the truck's onboard systems. The first irregularity appeared in the GPS history. Normally, the tracking system recorded the truck's location every few seconds. On that night, there was a gap. 4 hours, no coordinates, no movement history, no recorded speed. The tracking data simply disappeared before resuming several hundred miles farther along Interstate 10. Kevin restarted the system. The missing interval remained. Next, company technicians remotely accessed the dashcam. The camera had operated normally before the missing period. Then it stopped recording. Exactly 4 hours later, it resumed automatically. No error message, no corrupted files, no indication that anyone had disconnected power. The footage simply ended. And then continued 4 hours later. Investigators examined the truck itself. The engine control module revealed that the diesel engine had never been shut off. Engine hours matched continuous operation. The refrigeration unit had maintained its required temperature without interruption. Fuel records presented another puzzle. Based on fuel consumption, the truck had traveled approximately the expected distance during those missing 4 hours. There was no indication that the vehicle had remained parked, yet no electronic system could document where it had been. The pharmaceutical shipment was inspected immediately upon arrival in Dallas. Every pallet remained sealed. The electronic cargo lock had never been opened. Temperature logs showed uninterrupted refrigeration throughout the journey. Nothing had been removed. Nothing had been added. Inventory matched exactly. Company investigators initially suspected equipment failure. They examined the GPS hardware. No malfunction could be identified. The dashcam manufacturer analyzed the memory card. No evidence of corruption. No software crash. No indication of intentional deletion. The electronic logging device also showed no signs of tampering. State police reviewed traffic cameras positioned along Interstate 10. Several cameras captured Kevin's truck before the unexplained gap. Hours later, another camera recorded the same truck continuing westbound. No cameras documented the vehicle during the missing period. There was no evidence that the truck had left the interstate. No toll records indicated an alternate route. No fuel purchases occurred during the interval. Kevin's mobile phone added little clarity. It remained connected to the cellular network, but no calls, messages, or application activity occurred during those missing hours. The true crime podcast he had been listening to offered one final inconsistency. Playback history showed that the episode had continued to play normally. When Kevin later listened to the unfinished portion, he realized he had absolutely no memory of hearing any of it. Not a single detail. Company psychologists interviewed Kevin several times over the following weeks. They found no evidence that he had fabricated his account. Medical examinations revealed no signs of head trauma, intoxication, seizure activity, or any condition capable of clearly explaining a prolonged lapse in memory. Federal investigators briefly considered the possibility of cargo theft. That theory was quickly dismissed. The pharmaceutical shipment had never been accessed. The cargo seals remained intact. Nothing had been stolen. Nothing had been substituted. Likewise, investigators found no indication of robbery, sabotage, vehicle tampering, or criminal interference. Every mechanical system functioned exactly as designed. The only anomaly remained the missing 4-hour interval. Months later, the company completed its internal investigation. The final report exceeded 100 pages, containing GPS data, engine diagnostics, surveillance footage, maintenance inspections, cellular records, medical evaluations, and interviews with everyone involved in the shipment. The conclusion occupied only a single paragraph. There was insufficient evidence to establish equipment failure. There was insufficient evidence to establish criminal activity. There was insufficient evidence to conclude that Kevin Foster had intentionally falsified his account. The investigation therefore remained inconclusive. The case was formally closed. To this day, no evidence has ever demonstrated that Kevin lied about what happened that night. Yet no investigator, engineer, physician, or law enforcement officer has been able to explain where 4 hours of his journey went. The truck covered the expected distance. The engine never stopped running. The fuel was consumed exactly as expected. The cargo remained untouched. But between two ordinary moments on Interstate 10, 4 hours simply disappeared, leaving behind an investigation that, despite every available record, has never truly been solved. He slept at a rest area that had been closed for years. Robert Hayes had spent over 35 years driving trucks across the United States. At 58 years old, he knew that surviving long-haul trucking wasn't about speed, it was about discipline. Every trip followed the same routine, no matter how familiar the route seemed. That evening, he was hauling a trailer full of furniture bound for a distribution warehouse in California. The cargo wasn't particularly valuable, but it filled the trailer from floor to ceiling, secured with load bars and heavy-duty straps. His route would take him along Interstate 40, cutting through one of the longest and quietest desert stretches in the country. Among truck drivers, that section of highway had earned an unsettling reputation. Not because of frequent accidents or crime, but because of how empty it became after dark. Once the sun disappeared below the horizon, It wasn't unusual to drive 20 or 30 minutes without seeing another vehicle. Robert had driven the route dozens of times before. It had never bothered him. Around 8:30 p.m., he glanced at the electronic logbook mounted beside the dashboard. According to his hours of service, he had enough time to continue driving, but experience had taught him never to push too close to the legal limit. Fatigue was responsible for more accidents than bad weather. He decided he would stop before midnight. A well-rested driver always arrived safer than a tired one. The diesel engine hummed steadily as the truck rolled west through the desert. Outside, the landscape gradually disappeared into darkness. The last gas station had been nearly 40 miles behind him. Cell service faded in and out. The radio offered only bursts of static between distant stations. Nearly 2 hours later, a highway sign appeared in his headlights. Rest area, 1 mile, perfect timing, Robert muttered. A minute later, he exited Interstate 40 and followed the entrance road. The rest area looked completely normal. Bright parking lot lights illuminated the pavement. Fresh white parking lines separated the spaces. A restroom building stood near the entrance. 2 vending machines glowed beside the wall. Farther across the lot, 2 tractor trailers were already parked under the lights. Their engines were off. Everything looked exactly like hundreds of other interstate rest areas Robert had visited over the years. He pulled into an empty truck space and shut down the engine. Before climbing into the sleeper, he walked around the trailer one last time. The tires were cool, the cargo seal remained intact, the landing gear was secure. Everything was exactly as it should be. Satisfied, he climbed back into the cab. Using a small portable stove, he heated a can of beef stew while water boiled for instant coffee. The smell filled the sleeper compartment. After dinner, he washed the cooking pot in the restroom sink. The building was clean. Bright fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. Everything seemed recently maintained. Back inside the truck, Robert called his wife. The conversation lasted about 15 minutes. They talked about their grandchildren, the delivery schedule, and how he planned to be home in 3 days. Before ending the call, she reminded him to get enough sleep. "I already found a good place," Robert replied. "I'll leave after sunrise." He locked the cab doors, closed the curtains, and glanced outside one final time. The 2 trucks were still parked across the lot. Nothing seemed unusual. Within minutes, he was asleep. Sunlight warmed the cab several hours later. Robert stretched, rubbed his eyes, and reached for the ignition key. Then he noticed something strange. It was completely silent. No diesel engines, no air brakes releasing, no footsteps, no doors slamming. Truck stops and rest areas were never this quiet after sunrise. He pulled back the curtain. His heart skipped. The parking lot was gone. Robert was still parked on pavement, but it wasn't a maintained parking lot anymore. The asphalt beneath his truck was cracked and broken. Weeds pushed through long fractures in the concrete. Sand had drifted across most of the surface. There were no painted parking spaces, no restroom building, no vending machines, no light poles, nothing. Only empty desert stretched in every direction. He immediately climbed out of the truck. The morning air was cool, carrying only the sound of wind across the sand. He looked around in disbelief. The 2 trucks that had been parked nearby had vanished. There weren't even fresh tire tracks leading away. His first thought was that he had somehow exited at the wrong location. He climbed back inside and checked the GPS. The screen loaded his current position. Then it displayed something impossible. According to the GPS, he wasn't parked at a rest area. He was parked in an empty roadside clearing beside Interstate 40. No services, no buildings, no parking facility. Robert restarted the navigation system. The result remained exactly the same. Confused, he drove back onto the interstate and continued west. At the first truck stop, he asked another driver about the rest area. The man frowned. "What rest area?" "The one about 30 miles back." The driver shook his head. "I don't think there's been one there for years." Robert laughed nervously. "No, I stayed there last night." The other driver simply shrugged. "I've driven this route every week." "That place has been closed a long time." After completing his delivery in California, Robert reported the incident to his company. At first, everyone assumed he had mistaken another location, but company investigators reviewed the truck's GPS records. The coordinates showed that Robert had indeed parked exactly where he claimed. State transportation officials were contacted. Historical highway records revealed that a rest area had once existed at those coordinates. It had served travelers for decades before being permanently closed several years earlier due to deteriorating infrastructure and low usage. The buildings had been demolished, utilities disconnected, parking areas abandoned. Satellite images taken over several years showed nothing more than cracked pavement slowly disappearing beneath drifting desert sand. There had been no lights, no vending machines, no operating restrooms, no maintenance crews, nothing. Investigators searched for additional evidence. Traffic cameras only captured Robert leaving Interstate 40 late that night and returning to the highway after sunrise. The cameras never showed what happened inside the abandoned property. His phone records confirmed he had called his wife while parked there. She remembered the conversation clearly. Robert had even mentioned that the rest area looked quiet and well-maintained, yet no evidence supported his description. No maintenance records, no electrical usage, no witnesses, no other truck drivers reported spending the night there. Robert never changed his story. He insisted the rest area had been fully operational. He remembered the bright lights, the restroom, the vending machines, the 2 parked trucks. Every detail remained exactly the same every time he told the story. Years later, investigators reached no definitive conclusion. No one could prove that Robert had parked somewhere else. No one could explain why his memories were so detailed. And no evidence ever established whether Robert Hayes had simply stopped at the wrong location, remembered the place incorrectly, or experienced a brief episode of disorientation during a lonely night on Interstate 40. No one has ever been able to determine which explanation, if any, is the correct one. The voice on Channel 19 knew his every move. Long-haul trucking requires discipline, consistency, and strict adherence to safety procedures. Experienced drivers often rely on routine inspections, communication protocols, and situational awareness to minimize risks during extended overnight journeys. This narrative presents the account of Michael Turner, a 51-year-old truck driver transporting non-hazardous industrial chemicals to Chicago via Interstate 70. During what initially appeared to be an ordinary overnight delivery, Michael experienced a sequence of events involving unexplained radio communications that progressively undermined his confidence in his own observations. Despite multiple attempts to identify the source of the transmissions and the subsequent involvement of law enforcement, no objective evidence was ever found to confirm that the radio messages had actually been transmitted. The incident remains unresolved, leaving open the possibility of either an unidentified surveillance operation or an extreme psychological response to prolonged fatigue. Long-haul trucking, CB radio, Interstate 70, psychological horror, unexplained communication. Introduction. Interstate 70 is one of the longest east-west highways in the United States, connecting numerous industrial regions across the country. Among professional truck drivers, the highway has developed a reputation for its seemingly endless nighttime stretches, isolated service areas, and prolonged periods without meaningful traffic. These conditions often demand heightened concentration, particularly during overnight freight operations. For experienced operators, strict adherence to routine is considered essential. Pre-trip inspections, logbook verification, vehicle checks, and communication with dispatch are not merely procedural requirements, but established safety practices designed to reduce operational risks. On an autumn evening, Michael Turner prepared for what appeared to be another routine assignment. Michael Turner had spent more than 27 years transporting freight across the United States. At 51 years of age, he had accumulated millions of accident-free miles and maintained an excellent safety record. His assignment that evening consisted of transporting sealed containers of non-hazardous industrial chemicals destined for a manufacturing facility outside Chicago. Before departure, Michael carefully reviewed his electronic logbook. He verified his available hours of service, confirmed that mandatory rest requirements had been satisfied, and electronically signed the dispatch documentation. Following administrative verification, he conducted a complete exterior inspection of the tractor and trailer. Each tire was examined for proper inflation and abnormal wear. Brake lines were inspected for leaks. Electrical connections between tractor and trailer were confirmed. Safety chains remained properly secured. Cargo seals were intact. The trailer number matched the shipping manifest. No irregularities were identified. After completing the inspection, Michael entered the cab, started the diesel engine, adjusted both mirrors, programmed his navigation system, and merged onto Interstate 70 shortly after sunset. Traffic steadily diminished as the night progressed. Approximately 45 minutes into the journey, Michael activated cruise control at 65 miles per hour, allowing the truck to maintain a consistent speed across the gently rolling highway. As was customary during overnight drives, he switched on his Citizens Band radio and tuned it to Channel 19, the standard frequency used by most commercial truck drivers to exchange traffic updates, weather reports, and road hazard information. Initially, the radio remained quiet, except for occasional bursts of static. At approximately 10:17 p.m., an unfamiliar male voice interrupted the silence. "Blue Freightliner, you're looking good tonight." Michael instinctively glanced into both mirrors. Only darkness stretched behind him. No headlights appeared within visible range. Assuming another driver was speaking to someone else, Michael ignored the transmission. Several minutes later, the voice returned. "Trailer number 472816. Your left taillight looks fine." Michael's hands tightened around the steering wheel. He immediately looked down at the paperwork clipped beside the dashboard. The trailer number was indeed 472816. No other truck should have been close enough to read those numbers. The highway remained empty. The transmission continued. Current mileage, 184,372. Michael instinctively shifted his eyes toward the digital odometer. The display matched the number exactly. His breathing slowed. He reached for the microphone. "Driver calling the Blue Freightliner. Identify yourself." Silence. Only static answered. Roughly 20 minutes later, Michael stopped at an isolated truck stop to purchase fuel and a quick meal. He selected a packaged turkey sandwich, a bag of barbecue potato chips, and a large black coffee. The stop lasted less than 10 minutes. No unusual vehicles entered the parking area. No unfamiliar individuals approached him. Upon returning to Interstate 70 and reactivating cruise control, the CB radio crackled again. The same voice calmly stated, "The turkey sandwich wasn't very fresh." Michael froze. The voice continued, "You should have bought the chicken instead." His heartbeat accelerated. Only moments earlier, he had been completely alone inside the convenience store. No customers had spoken to him. No one had stood nearby, yet someone now appeared to know precisely what he had purchased. Michael immediately searched every mirror. He reduced speed, he accelerated, he changed lanes repeatedly. He carefully observed every overpass and every passing vehicle. There was nothing. No passenger car, no pickup truck, no commercial vehicle. No headlights consistently remained behind him. Interstate 70 appeared almost completely deserted. Nevertheless, the unidentified voice resumed speaking every few minutes. It described Michael's current speed. It identified mile markers before he reached them. It commented whenever he adjusted the climate controls. Each statement was accurate. Each statement was impossible. At approximately 11:40 p.m., Michael contacted dispatch using the company communication system. His dispatcher, Laura Simmons, answered immediately. Michael described every transmission in chronological order. Laura requested that he remain calm while she monitored Channel 19 from the dispatch office. For nearly 15 minutes, both remained connected. Michael heard the mysterious voice several more times. Laura heard only silence. "Michael," she finally replied, "I'm monitoring the exact frequency. There haven't been any incoming transmissions." Michael frowned. "That's impossible. I'm listening to him right now. We're receiving absolutely nothing." Neither understood how this discrepancy could exist. Concerned that an unknown individual might somehow be tracking company shipments, dispatch instructed Michael to stop at the next highway patrol station. State police officers interviewed him in detail. Vehicle GPS records were reviewed. Electronic logging data showed no abnormalities. The CB radio itself functioned normally during inspection. Technicians later examined recordings captured by the patrol station's radio monitoring equipment. Every transmission on Channel 19 during Michael's journey had been archived. Investigators replayed the recordings multiple times. Traffic reports, weather updates, conversations between several truck drivers, moments of static, nothing else. The unidentified male voice never appeared. No unexplained transmission had ever been recorded on the monitored frequency. According to every available record, Channel 19 had remained entirely ordinary throughout the evening. The investigation concluded without identifying mechanical malfunction, radio interference, or evidence of criminal surveillance. No vehicle matching Michael's suspicions was observed by traffic cameras. Dispatch logs contained no record of unusual communications. Highway patrol monitoring systems documented no unidentified broadcasts. Michael Turner consistently maintained that he had heard every transmission clearly. He could repeat each sentence from memory, yet no recording, witness, or electronic system ever confirmed that those words had actually been spoken. Whether an unknown observer somehow knew every detail of Michael's journey, or whether the voice existed only within the isolation of a long night on Interstate 70, has never been determined. To this day, the official radio recordings contain only silence, where Michael insisted someone knew his every move. Every exit, the way station lights glowed pale against the cold Nevada night. Daniel Brooks, 39 years old, had performed the same routine thousands of times during his 17 years as a long-haul truck driver. Routine kept drivers alive. Routine prevented mistakes. His trailer rolled slowly onto the scale. "Weight looks good," the station operator called through the speaker. Daniel nodded and eased the 18-wheeler forward. Tonight's cargo was expensive, millions of dollars worth of high-end electronics bound for distribution centers in Seattle. Every pallet was sealed, GPS tracked, and insured. Losing this load wasn't an option. After leaving the scale, Daniel parked beside the inspection lane. He crouched beside each tire, pressing a pressure gauge against every valve stem. He checked the tread, the lug nuts, the brake lines, and every reflective marker along the trailer. Nothing out of place. Exactly how he liked it. Back inside the cab, he opened a fresh cup of black coffee from the truck stop diner across the road. The bitter smell filled the cabin. His radio crackled. "Brooks, you copy?" Daniel picked up the microphone. Loud and clear. "Everything good? Truck's perfect, cargo secured. Rolling north." "Good, you've got about 14 hours ahead of you. Weather's clear. Route 93 should be quiet tonight." Daniel smiled. "Route 93 is always quiet." "Yeah, maybe a little too quiet." The dispatcher laughed before signing off. Daniel shifted into gear. The diesel engine growled as the truck merged onto US Route 93. Miles of empty asphalt stretched into darkness. No cities, no neighborhoods, only desert, only mountains, only endless highway. Nearly an hour later, Daniel reached for his coffee. The CB radio interrupted him. "Attention all northbound drivers, static." Single vehicle rollover reported approximately 50 miles ahead. More static. Emergency crews responding. Use caution. Daniel acknowledged the message even though no one expected a reply. Accidents happened every night. Fatigue, wildlife, mechanical failure, nothing unusual. He kept driving, then something else caught his attention. In the driver's side mirror, a white trailer, plain. No company logo, no DOT markings, no reflective graphics, just white. Daniel barely looked twice, probably another independent hauler. He returned his eyes to the road. 20 minutes passed. He checked the mirror again. Still there. Exactly the same distance behind him. Not gaining, not falling back. Just following. He shrugged it off. Another 30 minutes. Still there. The distance hadn't changed, not even slightly. Daniel frowned. That's odd. He accelerated. The trailer remained behind him. He slowed below the speed limit. It slowed too. Always maintaining the exact same gap. Not closer, not farther. Perfectly constant. His coffee suddenly tasted bitter. Around midnight, his fuel gauge dropped below a quarter tank. A lonely truck stop appeared beside the highway. Only 2 fuel pumps, 1 vending machine, 1 flickering neon sign. Daniel pulled in. As he climbed down from the cab, he instinctively glanced toward the highway. The white trailer was approaching. Or at least, it should have been. But the highway behind him was empty. Completely empty. No headlights, no taillights, nothing. He looked farther down the road. Nothing. Daniel slowly turned in a circle. There wasn't another road nearby. No side streets, no truck entrance. No place for a 70-foot trailer to disappear. A chill crawled across his neck. Inside the convenience store, the elderly cashier noticed him staring out the window. "You expecting someone?" Daniel shook his head. "No, I thought another truck pulled in." The cashier glanced outside. Been dead quiet for an hour. Daniel forced a smile. "Guess I imagined it." He paid for another coffee, filled the tanks, climbed back into the cab. The moment he merged back onto Route 93, his hands tightened around the steering wheel. The white trailer was behind him again, exactly where it had been before. Same distance, same speed, as if it had never disappeared. Daniel's heartbeat quickened. "Okay, this isn't funny." The next exit appeared 12 miles later. Daniel made a sudden decision. He took it. Instead of rejoining the highway immediately, he drove through a tiny desert town. 3 closed gas stations, 1 abandoned motel, a church, nothing else. He deliberately made several turns. Left, right again. He even stopped at a red light despite being the only vehicle in sight. 5 minutes later, he re-entered Route 93. He checked the mirror. Nothing. Daniel let out a long breath. Finally, then, a pair of headlights slowly rose over a distant hill. Seconds later, the white trailer emerged from the darkness, still the exact same distance away. His stomach tightened. No. He exited again. Different town, different route, different entrance. Same result, again and again. Every exit, every detour, every shortcut. Every time he returned to Route 93, the trailer returned too. Never passing, never falling behind, always watching, always waiting. By 3 in the morning, Daniel wasn't thinking about the cargo anymore. He wasn't thinking about Seattle. He wasn't thinking about the schedule. He kept checking his mirrors every few seconds. His breathing became shallow. His coffee had gone cold hours ago. Finally, he spotted flashing blue lights outside a highway patrol substation. He pulled in hard enough for the brakes to squeal. A state trooper stepped outside. "You all right, sir?" Daniel climbed out. "I've been followed for almost 300 miles. The trooper listened patiently while Daniel described the trailer. White, no logo, no numbers, no markings, always behind him. The officer let him inside. "We've got highway cameras covering most of your route." Minutes later, surveillance footage appeared on several monitors. Camera 1, Daniel's truck passed, no trailer. Camera 2, Daniel's truck again, empty highway behind him. Camera 3, nothing. Camera 4, nothing. The officer replayed the footage, then again, then zoomed in. "There isn't another truck behind you." Daniel stared at the screen. "No, that's impossible. I saw it." The officer looked genuinely concerned. "Mr. Brooks, how many hours have you slept this week?" Daniel didn't answer immediately. He honestly couldn't remember. The trooper suggested he rest before continuing. Exhaustion could play tricks on the mind. Hallucinations weren't unheard of among long-haul drivers. Daniel agreed. At least, he pretended to. Dawn slowly painted the desert orange. The mountains finally became visible. The darkness retreated. Daniel convinced himself the nightmare was over. Maybe the officer had been right. Maybe fatigue had distorted reality. Maybe his brain had created a pattern where none existed. He smiled weakly, started the engine, pulled back onto Route 93. For nearly 20 peaceful minutes, nothing. Then, almost without thinking, he looked into the driver's side mirror one last time. Far behind him, a white trailer without a logo crested the hill, keeping the exact same distance, waiting, following. No investigation ever identified another truck matching Daniel's description. No highway camera ever captured it. No dispatcher reported seeing it. No driver ever confirmed its existence. To this day, no one knows whether Daniel Brooks was truly being followed across the empty miles of US Route 93, or whether weeks of exhaustion had finally caused his mind to create a passenger that existed only in the mirrors.